Just making sure. Yeah, I saw you guys reaching for drinks. So. All right.
Gotta wet the palate.
It's the coping part of it. There you go.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah.
Adam Copeland, and now instead of all of his names being named after education, the educator, it's the copium and the whatever else they're gonna name this movie. Welcome everybody to another edition of the Tougies Take podcast. It's us, the guys, the fellas. I am joined alongside Mr. Sim for the win and Endo Mills. No guest this time out, although I do want to shout out the four lovely guests that we had on over the past 2 weeks previewing the NHL season, which, gentlemen, starts tomorrow. Endo Mills is bursting at the seams to say something.
So if Colt Cabana and Adam Copeland team up together, is it the Copa Cabana?
Oh my god. I hate you so much.
So good.
Oh.
This is now a wrestling podcast. Welcome, Sin. We will catch you up on
This
40
is the third
years.
turnbuckle.
Yes. Is it lower or higher on the totem pole? You decide. So yeah, hey, we're back again. The hockey season starts tomorrow, and screw it right out of the gates. I want to touch up on this because we were just talking about this beforehand, and up until like an hour ago, it was like, oh man, we're going to get to talk about cool hockey things and funny hockey things, like the Ottawa Senators reclaiming Lassie Thompson from the Anaheim Ducks. The NHL's fucking stupid in a variety of ways, as we know. Contracts that were signed today that we will talk about, stuff like that. But then it came out that, hey, remember last season, earlier this year, when we were in the hockey world in general, we were talking about pride jerseys, warm-up jerseys, should I say, and how we told you, all of you fine viewers, all of you fine listeners, that it likely wasn't going to stop there, even though, Sin, as you phrased it when we were talking beforehand about whether or not to bring this up, you phrased it as, hey, remember how it was supposed to only be team based activities, i.e. their pride nights, their warm-up jersey nights. The word has come out now, primarily through an article on outsports.com, that the NHL has let me just read this, and the article comes from Sid Ziegler, and apologies for the name there. The headline is this: the NHL has banned pride tape, creating its own Don't Say Gay policy. The NHL has banned pride tape and pride jerseys, in addition to issuing a disaster memo regarding LGBTQ initiatives. The NHL, this is the first couple sentences. The NHL's decree that players and teams are no longer allowed to wear rainbow-colored pride jerseys to celebrate the LGBTQ plus community was bad enough. Now the word comes out that the league front office has sent all 32 teams a series of memos that included alleged clarification on its policy. On top of this, the most egregious Outsports has learned is that the NHL has issued a league-wide ban on pride tape with the players during warm-ups, games, and even practices, among others. Again, we debated how to talk about this, and I'm going to use a blanket statement here. The NHL has no problem making political statements of its own, but God forbid a player make it clear that they are okay with a member of the LGBTQ plus community watching the game, being at the game, being in the locker room, so on and so forth. I talked about this on the show recently, how Sin and Endo have been here now for what is going to be our third season together on this show. And it was right before you guys got here. You essentially haven't been a part of this podcast without having to take the good with the bad of the NHL. And it sucks because shortly after you got here, the Kyle Beach story broke. And then ever since, it's been, hey, hockey's really fucking cool, but also you can't ignore the shit. And it's been 3 years of this. 2 years? 3 years of this now.
This is the third year now, yeah.
And it just sucks, man. And it just sucks because it's very tough to go through a podcast talking about the NHL and not bringing up the bigger stories. And the fact is, this is something that is grabbing headlines beyond, hey, Rasmus Dahlin re-signed today. This is a part of the conversation and a part of the discourse, and I wanted to at least bring it up at the start of the show to mention we are aware. I don't often speak for the three of us, but I feel confident in doing so to say that this is fucking ridiculous. Yeah. And
sorry to cut you off, but just yes, you mentioned that, the NHL is, stopping people for, standing up in support for something. Meanwhile, they catered to the people standing up to say they blatantly do not support something. That's the big thing. They're not putting a blanket ban on personal political statements. They're putting blanket bans on personal political statements that are no longer convenient for them or safe for them.
Yeah.
It's okay for your religion to prevent you from being able to acknowledge gay people exist, which is fucking ludicrous. But you cannot now personally support this community. Fine, the league doesn't want to do it, fine. But now they're trying to dictate what the personal players can do. The NHLPA should be all over that, saying, no, fuck you. You cannot tell our union members what they can do with their personal equipment.
Yeah, you would think. It's just, it comes down to that eventual conversation, I'm sure, of whether or not they view it as a hill worth dying on. And unfortunately, as I have heard from a lot of people that, and again, I'm sure there might be someone who listens to this, be, oh, there goes Tougie and company, white knighting again, which I love those people, by the way, because they're fun for engagement purposes. I'll give them that. I've heard so many stories of just like, this is what we expect, from people in the aftermath of the whole warm-up jersey Pride Night thing, just being like, oh yeah, no, the Pride tape will go, other things will go, because the second it gets even slightly, don't even want to use the word dangerous, but the moment it becomes slightly dangerous to say, yeah, we support people, they'll bail. Mm-hmm. And here's the NHL. The moment it becomes that much more divisive, bam, they are off that ship immediately. And then go the extra mile. The extra mile of saying, sorry, you can't have rainbow colored tape. The fuck. And the same people, it gets into the conversation of those other people who complain about everyone being offended, and then they're offended by pride. It just...
Pretty sure there's people who have, like, I'm sure in some capacity, there's a goaltender with a religious symbol on their helmet. Or some sort of,
Or if you're something. Thomas Greiss, you have the old Nazi Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like they don't understand what they're unwrapping right here. Like you start banning these one things and then retaliation is going to come. There's going to be people who say, okay, well, if you're banning this and fucking why is this allowed? And then all the other communities will be up in an uproar. It's just the NHL is so stupid. They do not know how to stick to their guns. They do not know how. They have zero foresight also, and zero conviction. And it's now what you're making it clear to the LGBT community is that we only supported you because it was convenient.
Mm-hmm.
Zero fucking conviction. So, and it's just like any other fucking brand. The second that Pride Month is over, fuck you all. Thanks for your money.
So again, we wanted to acknowledge this story. We didn't want to just kind of pass by it and act as if it wasn't a big deal, because while it can seem like a very minor thing, it is a part of a much larger story. It goes beyond just, people are crying because they can't have colored pride. It goes way, way beyond that for the reasons that Sin mentioned. like I said, it was on our mind at the start of the show. I didn't want to start the show off on such a negative thing because we normally try to be jokey and everything off the start, and we will get into some of the more fun sides of hockey heading into the start of tomorrow's season. Like I said, there's been a lot of movement today in the league, waivers, new contracts. I mean, it's been an interesting run. But as always, we will start off this show with some viewer questions, hopefully able to lighten the mood a little bit.
Yay.
But again, like, I fucking hate it, but it's hockey. It is the NHL. This is what following the NHL entails.
Yeah.
Fuck. With that, we start off a question from AJ. What is the best wrestling one-liner of all time?
This is just a wrestling podcast now.
It is.
Like, when are we gonna have Crash on here? Like, honestly,
This sucks.
Oh, God. The answer, by the way, is Christian telling you that your father's dead.
Yeah.
Oh, was that from wrestling? Okay.
Yeah.
You remember our new goal song from last
Yes,
night?
I do. I had no idea
Okay.
what it's from, but
Okay,
now
so-
I know.
The gist of it is that this wrestler's whole gimmick now has been basically saying that you have no father figure and that you have no dad and your dad is dead, so I'm going to be your father figure.
So he's a
And he makes
15-year-old
fun of
on
really-
Twitter
Basically, yeah.
who buys
Yeah.
OnlyFans content, but then hates every single OnlyFans girl. Got it.
Yes. And so it started because did you ever watch 90210?
No,
Was it a little bit before your time?
probably before my time.
Okay, in fairness. Luke Perry was on that show.
He was before my time, yeah.
Fair enough. He was on some other things too, but still. And Luke Perry, his son, is a professional wrestler in AEW.
Mm.
So that was the big thing of how this wrestler was going to be like, oh, I know how to make people hate me. You're dead, dad. So, wrestling's great. Wrestling's the best.
It just spiraled, and I guess everyone in AEW has a dead dad or like no father figure. So like it just steamrolls over and over and over. One person gets added to the cards, like, yeah, so I heard your father died. It's like, okay, now Edge, aka Adam Copeland's there, and it turns out that he never had a father in his life as a kid, and his mom was a single mother. It just keeps going. It just keeps going.
And this is how this show would go if it was a wrestling podcast, and Sim would just be there like, Can we talk hockey now? And we can. Our next question comes from Bouncy McBoink Boink. What's the most contested hockey opinion you have that you're not afraid to admit?
Oh man.
Adam Fox is overrated.
You saw the opportunity. He'll never not take it.
Oh man.
Oh, God. The most contested. That NHL 24's gameplay isn't that bad. That's my hockey take at this point.
Yeah.
We didn't really get to talk about it too much on the last show. One, because Endo wasn't here, and two, of course, it was Nick Olczyk on the show, and he hadn't gotten to play the game much yet. Not to turn this into NHL 24 talk, but screw it. Let's turn it into NHL 24 talk. I have seen, and we talked about this on stream last night, I've seen so many people say, NHL 24, worst game of all time.
Idiots.
People are being overreactionary.
This community sucks. You
And it
guys
just-
won't say it. I'll say it. This community fucking sucks.
Also, just
I'll
says
be
you
very
how
honest.
bad- Oh, sorry. I thought you were done, dude.
No, I'm not done. I'm not
Let him
done.
go.
I'll
Let
keep
him
going.
cook.
I streamed for the first time. I had 20 viewers. It was great. It was awesome. It was super great. But I'm not afraid to say that this damn community gets change. They accept the change. They don't accept the change. They're complaining about so many goddamn things. We didn't find out that all the features that we were complaining about were retroactive exactly to the feedback that we gave during the technical test. Does it need some tweaking a little bit here and there? Of course. Everything needs to be adjusted a little bit. But for people to completely jump off the wall on their little high horses and scream, the game's bad because I can't play the same way I used to. What do you fucking think? They've adjusted things so it's more realistic to actual hockey. Like, I get maybe you're being a little crybaby bitch and you don't understand that, hey, try something new and actually adapt to something for more than a fucking week. The game's been out for a week. And you're crying. and seething on Twitter because it's not the same. Have some fucking patience. Take your fucking ADHD Adderall medication. Calm the fuck down, and just enjoy it for what it is. Does the offline game mode suck right now? Yeah, they kind of do. But you're not going to get a fix in this weekend because right now it's Thanksgiving weekend in Canada, and fucking Mike, Chris, and the rest of their team are probably at home with their families enjoying themselves, being thankful that, we put a product out and we hit a deadline they were supposed to. You're going to get your fixes in a week and a half. Okay? Calm the fuck down.
It also just shows that people, like, they like year in, year out, they're like, oh, it's just copy paste. It's the same. Gameplay's the same. They innovate things. They
you
innovated.
Want jetpacks? You want fucking jetpacks? Like, I don't know what else you want from fucking hockey. It's the same shit. God.
Well, here's the thing, Endo. They changed a lot of it, and it's more like hockey now. And people's issue is that they're not able to come on here and do the same shit that they couldn't. The controls are slightly different. It opens up avenues for, casual players to be able to do certain moves easier. But here's the thing. There's still a skill gap. I would even argue there's more of a skill gap simply because there's less exploits. Period. There is less exploits. Sorry, the Michigan's not a fucking exploit. Being able to use one button to press it is still not an exploit. It's still hard to do. It still takes timing, it still takes positioning, and it still takes being able to get around the defense. Like the pressure system, like it's great. It's going to create a skill gap for which teams are good teams versus which teams have a good player who know a bunch of exploits, who is able to just, score goals at will. I mean, we played Tougie and I and Endo too, but we played in a league where there's this one dude on this other team who's able to just absolutely dominate because he knows certain exploits and how to just completely dodge hits and stuff like that. And it's all on his back. You don't get that now. There's good players on certain teams, but they cannot dominate. I mean, we saw it with our own friend Architect, who in the past was just able to absolutely dominate teams. He can still avoid certain things that he's still good, but he's not able to score at will anymore. Mm-hmm. It still takes using the new system, and that's what makes it more like hockey. People complaining that, puck protect is now different and stuff like that. It's better. It's a different button, sure, but the reason for that is you can no longer like sprint with it or skate really fast with it. And that's true. The second you go into kind of a puck protect mode and start doing the stride over stride thing, you are taking away some of your speed, and it's mostly to fend off a defender and stuff like that. I just think, people need to adjust, and people who can't adjust are honestly kind of bad. Like you weren't a good player. You just learned the exploits.
For me, I look at it obviously from the franchise perspective first. Mm-hmm. Franchise is fucked. It's operational, but it's fucked.
I just saw in Colorado today with 25 contracts.
Yeah.
It's like a rule for them, dude.
Yeah. Franchise is fucked. But here's the thing. In terms of worst EA NHL game of all time, this is not as bad as NHL 15 Next Gen.
Oh my God.
It's not. NHL 15 Next Gen had no modes and the gameplay had been stripped down. I still don't think the gameplay was abysmal, but it was a complete step down in every regard from NHL 14 on the 360 or PS3. And then you get into the PlayStation 1 era games, which at the time, sure. But historically, you look at some of those fucking games now, NHL 97 especially, holy shit, some of those games were abysmal. There's just, you don't really have a leg to stand on. Granted, it's personal opinion, whatever. You don't really have a leg to stand on if you try to claim that this is the worst game of all time. The gameplay is inherently better than it was in 23.
Yeah.
People will eventually figure out those exploits, but it is inherently better than it was in 23. Right now, the
hip check's an exploit. I figured that shit out. I was fucking body.
Yeah.
It's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's fun as hell, but it'll get patched. Like, just be patient.
Yeah. From a real, like, the contested hockey opinion that I'm not afraid to admit, in terms of like the sport itself, get rid of offsides. Get rid of offsides. I'm still with that. Get rid of offsides. Whatever allows you to open the game up more and gives you different strategy options, I am all for. Because I still don't think without offsides, you wouldn't have somebody just hanging down the ice, cherry picking. You wouldn't. It would be too big of a risk, but it would remove the need for fucking replays of offsides and 30 seconds ago they entered the zone offside and then they scored, so we got to call that back. It would eliminate nonsense like that. I hate that shit. Just remove offsides. Nobody has ever been able to come up with a reason as to why offsides should stay. To me, that outduels the opinion of like, well, here are the positives without it. I'm sorry, it's just the positives without it outweigh the positives to keeping it 10-1. It's not even close for me. It's not even a conversation.
And if someone does cherry pick, guess what? Send someone back there to cover them. You're still playing even strength.
There you go. Or you get a fucking 5-on-4 in the attacking zone.
Yeah.
The fuck? Like, again, different strategy options, and different teams would approach it in different ways depending on personnel. Like,
if Twitter was around when the 2-line pass was removed, there'd be people.
How dare you?
2-line pass, yeah.
Back in my day, we had 2-line pass, and it was great.
Back in my day, you couldn't pass the puck forward because it was based on rugby, and that was the best, except it fucking wasn't. See, back in my day, goalies were 5'7".
Yeah, go back and watch the 1980s USSR versus USA match. It's I totally forgot you were able to freeze the puck along the boards. That happened so much in that game. I'm like, whoa, like it's still an exciting game, but like it's it's just funny watching all those rules, dude. And your hockey opinion.
Yeah. I want to be like, you should be able to express your beliefs in hockey.
Express yourself.
Express yourself. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Nothing as a goalie? Nothing goalie centric?
I should be able to defend myself. This is after last week getting I mentioned this yesterday when we were streaming. I got Radko Gudist, as in like the guy scored a game-winning goal and he screamed in my face. And my whole team like fought them afterwards. It was great. So during a game, I was getting hacked at. I'm in net, so freezing the puck. Guys are still hacking at it. There's touch the glove or whatever, like you're trying to get the puck, and then there's full-on like fucking swings. So buddy hits me, my teammate goes up, it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Guy shoves him, I go over and shove him, the guy shoves me back, I get a match penalty as a goalie.
Fuck you. No, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you. Okay, goalie gets a penalty. I'm like, this has never happened before. Then I got an assist. It was like, that was pretty cool. And then that same guy who shoved me ended up getting the game winner and then screamed in my face. And like, I didn't even like give any care. I'm like, whatever. It's a fucking beer league game. Like, I don't really give a shit. And then my whole team just trampled after him. And at the end of the game was just a giant scrum. Nothing akin to the scrum that was like 2-3 weeks ago that happened here in Canada, where guys were like legit like hitting each other with sticks full swing and everything, and there were like suspensions going around. But yeah, I feel like as a goalie you should be able to defend yourself, not as in like fighting a guy, but like being able to fucking throw the dukes if you really have to.
Fair enough. Tim Thomas just hitting people in the face with the blocker.
Oh, yeah.
Goodness. Our next question. Oh boy. Well, it's from Piney. I'll start it off with that. Create a starting 6 and say what position they'd play for your personal hockey teams using one player from each of the following sports. Jesus Christ. Oh, Piney. You went from fun questions to one of these, huh? Okay. We'll put together a team together instead of individuals. So,
what are the rules again?
It's one player from each of the following sports that we need to have for a hockey team.
Haven't we done this?
I swear we have.
I swear to God we have.
We have. I'm pretty sure he
Yeah.
asked the exact same question too. He just wants a refresher.
Did we just say
Pretty
did we
sure.
just say screw him then and we move on?
We've
Yeah,
100% done this. Like
We've done
I
this.
remember the conversation.
yeah.
From Sister Christian Cage, which team, aka Hawks, which team in the NHL could really surprise people with how good in the overall point standings they'll be in the upcoming season? Well, fun fact, Hawks, you can listen to our preview shows where we talked exactly about that for every
Yep.
single division.
You have like 5 hours of like actual audio or video footage for your visual or listening pleasure to go through.
Our final question, maybe, who the hell knows? You guys have dropped the ball today. What's the matter with you? What would happen if the Memorial Cup winner faced the winner of the NCAA championship?
You're going against men against children. The NCAA are going to kick their ass. Fact.
Yeah.
If they could choose how big an ice rink should be, because the NCAA can't even decide on that.
Yeah. I don't
Um,
know. Like the age limit for NCAA players like 25, and the age limit for a Mem Cup player is like 2021, if you're including overagers. So like
Yeah,
That
NCAA
bigger-
would win.
that bigger body itself is going to dominate. That's like saying, are you going to put the BCHL up against a junior like a major junior team? That's the way I would see it, because the BCHL is a general feeder to the NCAA anyway.
The last 4 Mem Cup winners were all QMJHL teams.
Mm-hmm.
And people have obviously not been too hot on the QMJHL in more recent years. Goodness, I'm blanking on their name. It was the Quebec Ramparts who won this year, was it not?
Yep. Yeah, Patrick Waugh finally got his cup too.
Yeah. They have quite a few guys who are on NHL rosters, or at least prospects of it. The year before that, it was the St. John Sea Dogs. The biggest name in terms of prospects, I mean, you're looking at William Villeneuve of the Leafs, Jeremy Poirier of Calgary. I mean, say what you want about Quinnipiac winning the NCAA men's title, but I feel like that team, that junior team, even 2019, we go back to the Rio Naranda Huskies.
Right.
Noah Dobson was probably the biggest name on that team. Raphael Harvey Pinard was on it as well from the Habs. Jakob Lauko from the Bruins. I feel like that CHL team is going to need a Connor McDavid level player to compete and to be that difference maker, because the general skill level of that NCAA team, just because of experience, is going to be, it's going to be so much higher.
Yeah, like just even if you just compare the rate of scoring between NCAA players and CHL players, you can see how much harder the NCAA is and how much more competitive it is as a whole.
Yeah, I'm looking at the team that just won as well, and for NCAA, while they didn't have the biggest names in terms of prospects, I mean, you're talking about the Quinnipiac Bobcats that just won had players born as early as February 1998. Yeah, I mean, which on one hand you want to say, oh, that's not that bad. You're talking about a 24-year-old man, 25 actually, by the time he won the title.
Yeah,
against someone who could 17, 18-year-old kids.
Yeah,
I mean, come on. There is a scenario where the Mem Cup winner could do it, but it's so unlikely.
Like the youngest NCAA player is basically like an overager in the CHL.
Right.
It's crazy. Like, or you have the weird instance where it's like Fantilli playing in there. He's like, he got drafted out of the NCAA. It's just the size comparison would be so much different. Like by the time you're 24, 25, you're filling out. Like you're filling out, and it's like size, and you're reaching that kind of that peak essentially.
Yeah.
And like the NCAA is a bigger feeder for the AHL and the ECHL than any other league. And I would also say that like the ECHL and the CHL are kind of on the same par for play, honestly.
So with that, thank you to a few of you for the questions. A couple of you need to work on things by our end of week episode. My goodness. But thank you guys as always for the questions. Again, link to the Discord in the description. If it's not working, let me know. Shout out to Discord where you can set invite links that are set to never expire, yet they still expire. Thanks, Discord. We love you.
It's great.
We also love our lovely sponsor for this podcast, of course, our friends at manscaped.com, who want to remind you that you can use code Tougie, that's Tougie, for 20% off your order and free shipping. Again, at manscaped.com. And my goodness, wouldn't you know it, a brand new product has dropped over at Manscaped. They have the new compact face shaver known as the Handyman. This thing is like the size of a mouse. Not the animal, but like a computer mouse. The most portable shaver you could possibly have to be on the go, trim up, get it done, look your best. The Handyman, now available. Man, this thing's freaking waterproof. They make everything waterproof. I don't know why they do it, but they do. They make it. You could shave your head in the shower if you wanted to. At this point,
You could do it in the bath.
Makes it just chilling in the bath. I haven't been able to take a bath in like 8 years because they don't make bathtubs for people over 6'2".
I don't have a bathtub anymore, which sucks. I just have a shower. So unless I really fill that some bitch up and clog the drain and have a little bit of splash pool in there, just go splash around and like, yeah, I can't. It's great. Manscaped.com. Use promo code Tougie. Get your discount. Free shipping. Do it up. Help us. Please. I moved house and life is expensive. And Tougie's got a wedding and Sin's got a girlfriend. So yeah, we got expenses now.
We do. I'm like, what, 26 days away from getting married at this point. It's fucking weird.
Gracious.
It's fucking weird. It's exciting. Don't get me wrong. It's fucking weird, though. It's funny because my parents came up to visit for the long weekend here. And my mom was like, yeah, I guess the next time I'll see you is probably at your wedding. She's like, that's weird, isn't it? Yes, Mom. Yes, it is. She's like, it's like you guys are already married anyway. And I'm like, yeah, pretty much. Basically,
Yeah.
we're just filling out the paperwork, basically. Couple of things to talk about. The first one I wanted to bring up was a tweet from Pierre LeBrun in regards to the start of the NHL season. He said, second week of October feels too late of a start for me. Last possible day of the cup being awarded this season is June 24th. As I've said many times, shorten camp, start the regular season around September 20th, and award the cup by May 31st. I can't disagree with that logic. All I've seen this past week is Leafs fans. Like, literally, so you know the meme of the woman in the red shirt unbuttoning her shirt, the yes, honey? All I've seen is Leafs fans just being like, oh, another preseason game. Yes, honey. Like, everyone's just dying for real hockey to start. I swear to the Leafs have played half a season worth of preseason games. I swear to God.
It's
There's
ridiculous.
a lot of preseason now. Remember when there was only like 4 preseason games?
Mm-hmm.
Back
It's like
in
shit,
my
even
day.
the NFL shortened their preseason, technically. I mean, now they just added another week. They're like, this other week counts now, so screw it. But yeah, I saw that and I'm like, it makes a lot of sense. And I had talked about too the idea of like, okay, NHL 24. I wish it didn't come out until next week because that way the game could ship with more accurate rosters.
And patches on day one. Because again, Thanksgiving weekend in Canada, fuck you if you don't prioritize your family over a video game that has $100 on release. Fuck you.
As well, like if you were to start the season in September, that would also just move the issue. Keep the NHL on the same launch day if you want, but then the season starts earlier. Just, I don't know. I saw that and I'm like, yes, Pierre LeBrun gets it. Also, this would ensure that if Sin and I happen to be traveling to Finland, we wouldn't find out about the Stanley Cup winner either the next morning, or in the case of me this year, I watched the Vegas Golden Knights raise the Stanley Cup from JFK Airport. So it would have been nice to be able to enjoy things just a little bit more. But yeah, I saw that and it's like, oh, okay, wanted to mention that too. A lot of rosters are being finalized today as well, as you would suspect. And I'm not going to go through every team because in general, it just seems to be the theme. A lot of teams have started younger players this year, or at least are going to give them that trial run, whether it be Columbus with Adam Fantilli, Logan Cooley in Arizona, Leo Carlson in Anaheim. The Bruins elected to go with former first-round pick John Beecher, and out of nowhere, the talk of the Bruins preseason, Matt Patra, who was a second-round pick. It's Patra, apparently.
I was like, Poitras.
Apparently, it's Patra. Patra. Best part is he's from Ontario.
Faker.
Second-round pick in 2022. Played with the Guelph Storm last year, had 95 points in 63 games, and now makes the Bruins out of camp over somebody like Ian Mitchell, or not Ian Mitchell. I was looking at their list here. Over somebody like AJ Greer, who was claimed on waivers today by the Calgary Flames. Over guys that have NHL experience like Patrick Brown, Jesper Boqvist. So promising, to say the least, to have him step in and actually perform as well as he had. What's
going on with Lysell? Whose name I mispronounced? Lysell, yeah.
It is Lysell. As far as I recall, I mean, he's 20 years old. I'm pretty sure there was an injury.
Okay.
He did okay in the AHL last year. He actually did pretty solid, but he wasn't insane. I think it's a matter of just wanting to take more time, and kind of similar to Shane Wright, who was also sent down by the Kraken. That's to me, that's more of a skill guy. And I feel like teams are now a little bit more wise to the idea of, let's not have a young skill guy play fourth line minutes. Just put him in the minors and let him be a skill guy on the top six and develop further that way. I feel like teams are getting a little bit smarter to this, except for the New York Rangers.
Yeah.
they're still stuck in 1998, but they'll get there. Give them a little bit of time. But like the Sabres had Zach Benson make the team as well. There's been a lot of examples, as I mentioned. And looking
William Eklund and Thomas Bordeleau, baby.
I was about to say, with the Sharks, Eklund, Bordeleau have both made it. Henry Thrun, no surprise, made the team from the looks of it.
Ducks are bad at asset management.
Yeah. I'll come back to the Sharks in a second, because I also wanted to mention the Leafs, who had Fraser Minton make the team. Easton Cowan, it's still up in the air because he was a scratch, but Fraser Minton, who was a second-round pick in 2022 as well, has made the team after a solid season with the Kamloops Blazers last year. So a lot of teams are making it. It leads me to one of the other conversations in regards to these rosters. And that is, there was a graphic put out about each NHL team's biggest question mark heading into next season. Not going to go over all of them, but for example, the Boston Bruins. Biggest question mark they had listed, center depth. Of course. You lose Patrice Bergeron and David Krejci. Of course, that's going to be the answer. For the Florida Panthers, health. That's fair. Montour, Ekblad not starting the season at 100%. Matthew Tkachuk, obviously very banged up after the playoffs. That's more than fair. The New York Rangers, their young guns, as the biggest question mark. Can they step up? I'd say that's fair. The Pittsburgh Penguins, age. I'd say that's a good one as well. Vegas was the potential Stanley Cup hangover. That's fair too. And then you get to the San Jose Sharks, whose biggest question mark is listed as
everything.
Everything.
What do I mean, man?
Sin, would you contest that point?
Yeah.
As a Sharks fan, what do you have as the Sharks' biggest question mark this season?
I don't think there is. Like, we're supposed to be shit. Like,
everything.
The only question, my biggest question mark is will Hurdle and Couture fuck up the rebuild? Or will Kakinen, who looked real good in preseason, steal games that he shouldn't be stealing? Those are my question marks. If Eklund tears it the fuck up, if he and Borlo just come out of nowhere and absolutely destroy worlds, that's good for us. Even if it maybe costs us a pick. But if I don't know, like
I agree.
I know they always focus on here's this year. It's just this year we're analyzing. So that makes sense. Yes, Sharks roster for this year is, oh my God, and you hope the young guys develop. But yeah.
I agree that you should want the guys you already have to develop. That is priority number one, not who you could potentially get. Yeah. Because one, there's a lottery, so you never know for sure. Two, it's a draft, so you never know for sure. There have been how many can't miss prospects have there been where it's, hey, oh man, you got to get a top pick for that guy, and then they don't pan out for one reason or another. You know, I hate to use this guy as an example. Nolan Patrick, poor fucking guy, has been robbed of what should have been, at the very least, a really solid NHL career. Like, he was viewed out of the draft as, man, this kid is at least going to be a contributor, even if it's a bottom six role. And injuries have, if you want to label the whole migraine issue as an injury, I guess you could, have totally robbed that guy of a career.
He also had like sports hernia too, didn't he? Like, he was just, I feel bad for him. I think that was in junior, but still.
Yeah. Every draft, you can look at the top 5 and top 10 of here are guys where it's like, yep, they're going to be great. And you just never know for sure. That is the nature of the draft. Michael Dow Cole went 5th overall, for example. So you just never know. I agree that right now the Sharks need to focus on who is out there, who they already have. Develop them, even if it means, we cost ourselves a couple of points and now we only have a 12% chance at this pick instead of a 14. Yeah. That's a risk you take. So we mentioned all the other stuff in regards to kind of the season starting. It brings us to some of the contracts that have been signed over the last couple of days as well. And there are some big ones. We talked first and foremost about Ryan Hartman and his deal expiring. He has re-signed with the Minnesota Wild. He has 1 year left on his deal this year at 1.7. Next year starts a 3-year deal at $4 million, which, to be honest, isn't too bad for a guy who is, now technically 2 seasons removed from 65 points and 34 goals in a full 82-game season. That is the type of contract the Wild desperately need, given the whole $14 million in dead cap issue. That still extends into next year as well. Especially, too, if they can get someone like Marco Rossi, who looks like he'll probably make the Wild team this year. If they can get him to further develop over the course of this season, maybe take a step up, and then all of a sudden that center depth is looking pretty good. So not too much to say about that one, but then we get to the 2 big contracts today. 3, technically. First and foremost, Rasmus Dahlin, who is on the final year of his bridge contract, which was 3 years at $6 million per. back up the Brinks truck at this stage. 8-year deal, $11 million per, with a no movement clause kicking in after the first season.
Oh man, to quote Frank Saravalli, one of the Sabres' twin towers is signed in the long haul. Reminds me of that horrible tragedy.
What?
Boy.
Yeah, he did say that. He did. Yeah.
And of course, I responded with Norm MacDonald gif, because of course he would.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a choice. That was a choice.
It's
Granted, it's not a New York team that plays in Manhattan, but it was still a choice, wasn't it?
wow.
Yeah.
Let's actually talk about the contract and its implications, because holy shit. I think it looks like a lot, but we also need to remember that the NHL just announced cap should go up by $4 million next season. So I think that was in mind with the Sabres, signing him to that amount. It is still a lot, and he's going to have to obviously earn that. But let's go Swedish defenseman getting paid. I love him. I think he's a great defenseman. Great, solid two-way game, and Sabres are betting big on him, and I hope it works for them. The Sabres fans deserve to be a competitive team again.
The word was he wanted 5 years. So to me, this says they had to pay the premium to get the term that they wanted for their number one defenseman. And the thing is, man, they can afford it. You have Dylan Cousins and Tage Thompson locked up to 14.15 combined as your top two centers at 25 and 22 years old. You can then afford to splash the cash and give Dahlin a $5 million raise, especially because it is Rasmus Dahlin. And it's so crucial for some of these teams that have been on the bottom for, if in the Sabres case, 10 freaking years. It's so crucial for them to maintain these talents, to not lose these guys, and to continue to build around them instead of like, oh, my RFA status is up, I'm out of here at the first opportunity. And it's huge for Buffalo. They have locked up essentially the entirety of their young core already. And when you talk about contracts that are coming up, Victor Olofsson making almost $5 million. He's up at the end of the year. Gergensons, Okposo, Tyson Jost, all of those guys are making at least $2 million. 3.25 of Eric Johnson is off the books at the end of this year. Then you have RFAs and Casey Middlestat, Peyton Krebs, Henry Jokiharju, Jacob Bryson, and Owen Power. Owen Power could be expensive, but it won't be drastically expensive. And if Devin Levi is their number one, well, they have him for 2 years at $925K. They're good. Like, they're fine. They have all the maneuverability, easy for me to say, in the world right now to finally turn the corner and to actually be a competitive team, which they have not been since 2007. So that's a long, long time to wait. But as we talked about in our preview there for the Sabres, it could be the time. Speaking of competitive teams, maybe, possibly, the two other big deals that were signed today, out of nowhere. I equated it to a fucking RKO on Twitter. The Winnipeg Jets have re-signed both Mark Scheifele and Connor Hellebuck to matching deals of 7 years at $8.5 million per. Bringing them both, I believe, to their age 38 season.
Wow. That's worked out. That's worked out well for another team that's done the exact same thing with two star players. This will not end in turmoil and in a buyout within the next 6 years.
If they get a cup within that time, it doesn't matter. That's what they're going for, and they're showing help. That that's what they had to do.
That's fair.
Famously, it's what Hellebuck said he wanted. He wanted to play for a contender. So clearly he believes that the Jets are still relatively close. Or he knows the goalie market wasn't going to quite be what he wanted it to be. We're not sure. But he stays. He gets a full no movement clause for the first 3 years and then gets a modified 10-team no trade list for the last 4 years of the deal, whereas Mark Scheifele has no protection whatsoever. And I found that interesting because the biggest thing about Mark Scheifele was he was always the guy paired with Blake Wheeler as the problem of the locker room, despite the fact they were supposed to be the leaders of the locker room. But now Scheifele is still there. And obviously he's been there. He was the Jets' first draft pick after relocating from Atlanta, and he is going to continue to be there. That's just the big question now is how well does it work out moving forward? I mean, it's crazy to think, but Mark Scheifele is already 30 years old. Where does this put the Jets? It certainly keeps them in a better spot. You don't have that limbo of, oh God, they're both on expiring deals. What are we going to do? Now you know. And that distraction's out of the way. And that cannot be understated. Just how brutal it can be on a team when you have a major distraction like that of what's going to happen. It can be a motivator. In the case of the Bruins, I think clearly the idea in the locker room was this could be Bergey's last season. And it failed at the end. That's fun. But, that idea of not having that cloud hanging overhead, I think could help the Jets quite a bit.
Yeah.
Or these contracts could turn out to be absolutely abysmal for them sooner rather than later, and this could prove to be a brutal mistake that sets the Jets on a path of a rebuild for a decade.
Mm-hmm.
But don't worry, Kevin Cheveldayoff will still be there. Him, Twinkies, and cockroaches.
Oh, man. Yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Didn't end up panning out for the Sharks. They had their chances. It's ended up panning out for some other teams. It works for Pittsburgh.
That's very, very true. Not too much else to add about these contracts, just aside from the shock of it all. But again, It puts the Jets into a much better spot, I would say. And the final thing I had in terms of a talking point today, because again, it's our final show before we get to talk about actual hockey. Hooray for that. The ECHL. The Newfie Growlers of the ECHL.
Yeah.
Have named a new head coach.
No.
One Matthew Cook.
Yeah.
Is now head coach of the Newfie Growlers.
Yeah. Maple Leaf organization. That's right, baby. MLSE. Let's fucking go. He's going to get like all AHL guys too. It's going to be fucking great because the Growlers have been doing that since they became an organization. They'll just sign a whole bunch of guys with the Marlies and just send them down and be like, yeah, you get these guys. So that way they all get paid fucking money, get fucking bank. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. Love the ECHL.
I'll say this. He has been coaching in Minnesota as a high school coach. Makes the jump from high school to the ECHL, which isn't the most gigantic jump in the world, but it's still a pretty surprising jump. Obviously makes it because of his past play. His past play includes ending the career of Mark Savard.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously I've been asked about this a lot. I will just say this. I hope he is a better person and a better coach than he happened to be. Make no mistake, this is his second chance. If something shitty comes out and he loses his job at the Growlers, I do not want to hear, oh, he deserves a chance to coach again. Who cares that the Kingston Frontenacs signed him? No. That would have been his third chance. This is his second chance after having a career where he fucking hurt people and has... When you have a section on your Wikipedia called suspensions, that is about as long, if not longer, than your playing career section, you were a scumbag. I don't care if it's, oh, that was the game and that's what I had to do to be in the league. Then fuck you, you're selfish. If it's like, I take pride in the fact that my job was braining somebody, you're either selfish, an idiot, or both. I hope he has changed, and this is his opportunity to do so. I hope he is a better coach than he was player. Especially for the Achilles tendons of everyone in the ECHL that has to play the Newfie Growlers.
Yeah, I will say he's just because he's working with MLSE. They have a pretty tight leash when it comes to stuff like that and conduct like that. So he could probably be on the way sooner out than in if he's not changed his ways or his coaching style.
And actually, with you bringing up the Leafs, I wanted to mention, turns out Matt Murray was actually hurt. He's out for 6 to 8 months after having hip surgery.
I love when people were like, oh, he's going to get surgery. Why couldn't he do it in the offseason? It's like, yeah, maybe he wanted to enjoy his offseason with his family. Like, people put off surgeries for stupid reasons, like me with my knee. But at the same time, like legitimately, you could enjoy your summer or literally just be like buried in a cast while doing rehabilitation for the whole entire time off in the summer. You can go enjoy beers, enjoy drinks, family, all that stuff. Like, people need to think rationally. Oh, so it helps with the cap thing too. That's completely unrelated. Like, thank you, Matt Murray. But like, it's fine.
Matt Pippin.
It's okay.
There were actually. I keep thinking I've hit the end of the run sheet, and there's actually 2 other things. Endo, go ahead.
I was going to say, well, that means there's now only one active member in the NHLPA under the name Matt Murray. Matt Murray, who plays for Dallas Stars. That's right. There's a second one. And fun fact, they played on the exact same team, technically speaking, as they're both in the Penguin system at the same time. So that must have been a real fucking weird situation. We're calling up Matt Murray. Wait, which one? Fuck.
Yes.
Yes.
Wanted to mention Josh Norris is out for the start of the season as well, listed as indefinitely out due to a shoulder injury, which, he only played 8 games last season. He injured his shoulder on October 22nd, returned January 18th, played 3 games, and then had season-ending shoulder surgery. I hope he's going to be all right, because the guy is only 24 years old, and it looked like he was really starting to turn things around, and then this freaking shoulder injury popped up.
Yeah.
Bad news for Ottawa. And then not much of a proper transition from one topic to the other, but the NHL also announced their version of what Sportsnet fans would recall was known as ice surfing, aka the NHL's version of Red Zone on ESPN. They are trying to take the NFL format of flipping from game to game, much like Sportsnet did with Steve Dangle 5 years ago.
Oh my God.
And ESPN has taken the concept and are going to be running it this season. Frozen Frenzy debuts on October 24th.
That's a shitty name, not gonna lie. That's a shitty name.
It is pretty bad.
You just called it Ice Tilt. Oh, woo.
It's real. It exists.
It's real.
It's on ESPN too.
Get the fucking Johnny Superman with a giant fucking like Pepe Sylvia-esque whiteboard.
I gotta be honest though, I probably will check it out. Like the night that it's debuting, on the 4th, there's a triple header on ESPN: Leafs, Caps, Bruins, Hawks, Flyers, and Golden Knights. And obviously, again, they're just gonna bounce back and forth between the games and bring you the highlights of the games. I watch one, maybe 2 editions of Red Zone for the NFL every year because it is so fucking jarring. Like, you need to have a fucking Red Bull in hand to properly enjoy red zone.
Yeah, I like to just watch a whole game in its entirety if I watch it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it is breakneck speed how much they change things around. Really,
Jesus.
With that, gentlemen,
I will say
it's
one
been an
thing
interesting show.
Before we end, I feel bad for the people working and doing this video technician job in there because they're just yelling constantly. It's already stressful enough in that environment you're doing sports. It's like, yeah, have this shot ready, switch to this camera. Now imagine that times like fucking 20 or like, what is it? There's 32 teams, so times that by 16. Yeah, go here, bam, you here. Yeah, go here, then say, go this, do that. It's gonna be fucking chaotic in there. So yeah.
So there you go, everybody. The best of all of these topics that are kind of related to one another, but aren't really, because everyone's scrambling for content before hockey season actually starts. Again, we did preview everything in regards to the league over the last couple of weeks on our preview shows. Make sure to go back and check those out if you have not already done so. Of course, we were joined by some lovely guests. It kicked off with Mr. Danny Webster covering the Pacific Division with us 2 weeks ago. Of course, we had Deke Slayer on to cover the Central, Nick Olchek for the Metro, and Rahil on to cover the Atlantic, actually. The Pacific, the Atlantic, the Central. There's 4 divisions. Yeah. We had fun. Yeah. Endo, you streamed last night. That was weird.
Yeah, it was really fucking weird. I had it changed. I had a whole new layout and everything. I inverted some of the colors on my my screen.
Wait a second. You changed the layout of something?
No, I just changed the color. That's it. I didn't change the layout. I just
something?
Yeah.
Are you going to change the colors before your next stream too?
It needed a refresh because I didn't like having chat blocking it up, so I just put it on the top instead. It's pretty cool.
Huh?
It's like his room.
Yeah.
And his fucking player build and Ishel.
Stop it! Okay.
I'm talking about before you moved, when you change your room around every week.
I'm talking about every fucking Ishel game we play where you have to change your build between every single
I'm a level
game.
15. I don't like how this does. I take it off, okay? I take off my speed and put everything to puck protect and puck control and defensive awareness so I can actually
fucking
stop
control
passes.
these nuts.
I will. I'm going to crash your wedding.
You should also try to get used to a build.
Yeah, I'm trying. I like the Bones one. The Bones one I haven't changed.
How can you get used to something if you change it immediately? NHL?
Because I do it. Fuck you! God! Get off my back! Christ!
Sim, what do you have going on?
Fuck off.
The usual, man. Be a Pro series and my franchise series, and then playing Ishel with you guys. On forward now.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, brother.
It's been a positive change, to say the least.
I didn't get to answer your question. Like, yeah, you streamed once. And you just berated me. I got my chance to speak, and you just berated me. Yeah, stream, Twitch, whatever, that fun stuff. Yeah. Also be a pro, too. Look at that. Yeah.
Be a pro.
Bro Salah, he's 5'10", 220, 210. He's 5'5", 210. And he's getting his ass handed to him, but it's fun.
There you go.
In true broadcast.
Beautiful. Yeah, you can catch the boys with me on the Ishel streets, the world of Chell streets. And when that's not happening, I'm going back and playing old franchise modes. NHL 11 has been the experience as of late, and started uploading that on YouTube today. So, yeah, that's cool. It's not, because it means NHL 24 is garbage. With that, I think we're in perfect mid-season form of, there are things to talk about. I blame the NHL. This could have been a positive show. You fucking blew it, you losers. Quit being losers. Be good. Be cool. Instead, you're fucking losers. We'll see y'all later this week. Hockey! Woo! Fucking losers. All right, gentlemen, we ended the show, and then a late breaking viewer question came in to really be able to end the show on a high note. So this comes from AJZ. If you were an Animorph, what animal would you turn into? in brackets, you cannot turn into Animal from the Muppets. Because that's his name.
Yeah.
Endo, what animal would you anamorph into?
A sheepdog. Because look at my hair.
Okay. Like the sheepdog that always messed was it
Sam? His name was Sam.
Yeah, yeah, from the cartoon. Thank you.
Yeah, Wile E. Coyote and Sam.
Yes, he would always fucking ruin Wild. So, okay, god damn it. Can I go on a childhood rant?
Sure, if it
cool. So, there was a video game on like the PlayStation that was a part of a demo disc that I had of like Disney stuff. Or maybe not all Disney stuff, but like the Atlantis video game had a demo that I would play. And also I think had Madden 2000. You could play the first half of the Giants-Ravens Super Bowl. And then it had this freaking game where you were the Roadrunner. Or not the Roadrunner, you were freaking Wile E. Coyote. And you had to try to steal sheep. But Sam the sheepdog would track you down and bonk you on the head if you failed. That was a video game. I don't know how, I don't know why, I don't know how it's sold, I don't know what the name of it is.
There it is. Sheepdog and Wolf. Found it.
Jesus. Beautiful. I'm going to play this on stream.
Look at this. I found the link for it.
I need to play this on stream. Just for pure childhood nostalgia. On Wikipedia, released as Looney Tunes Sheep Raider. That's what it was.
Oh, wow.
Is a puzzle platformer stealth video game released by Infogrames. The game's based on Looney Tunes characters Ralph Wolf and Sheepdog. Controlling Ralph, the player must steal sheep from under Sam's nose while navigating through a series of levels, including 2 secret levels and a bonus level. Tremendous. Okay,
so that's the localized name because back then the EU and NA things had different release names. Sheepdog and Wolf was the EU name, and I guess Looney Tunes Sheep Raider was that's where it says right here. Sheep Raider was North American name for it.
God bless the early PlayStation era where video games had originality. Instead, it's like, can you get ready for another Last of Us fucking remake? And it's like
5 remakes. There's been 2 games. 2 games, 5 remakes. Jesus Christ.
Also, in case go ahead.
It's like Ubisoft releasing the fucking another ass Creed game. You know how many Assassin's Creed games there are in the past 20 years?
My animal would be a tiger, by the way.
Yeah,
just trying to get to you.
I'm trying to get to you. Don't worry. There have been 50 mainline Assassin's Creed games. Technically speaking, 50 titles in the span of like 20 years.
Fair enough. For anyone who doesn't know what an Animorph is, by the way, it was a series of children's books in which there were 6 main characters that would take turn narrating the books from their own perspective, and they would each change into a certain animal. It also had
it was a variety of animals. You could acquire.
That's true.
New animals by touching them and shit like that, and they were
by murdering your enemies.
Dude, I loved the Animorphs books, man. I had I had them like from the beginning. I can't remember how many I had, but it was like 25 plus, I'm sure.
So you would be a tiger, just like the lead character, Jake.
There was a video game. Apparently it was ass.
Jake, I guess Jake was one of the... I remember Tobias most of all, who got stuck in his red tail hawk form because he stayed in it for longer than 2 hours.
Well, I guess I'm just a hawk now.
Yeah, fucking hawk now. And then Marco would like feed him in his attic and shit.
So just live in my
friend's took another
attic.
Man hostage?
Well, no, he took a hawk hostage. He wasn't a man at that point.
Good thing he didn't have any fucking parents.
Of course it was the orphan who got stuck as a hawk.
The least amount of collateral damage, man.
Oh, fuck,
Jesus
great.
Christ.
Uh,
All right. Endo, Sin, say it with me on 3. Tougie's Animorph would be 1, 2, 3.
the Boston
A
Bruin Bear.
Bruin.
I mean, that'd be cool.
Oh, the
can I-
fucking stupid Muppet Hawk thing.
Yeah, you got it. Although that raised the question, can I become the Bruins mascot?
It's not an animal.
Yeah, talk to Monkey Dude. He'll probably let you go in one of the suits.
I mean, it's not an animal, but it is an animal. Aren't humans animals? Can I become another human? Can Bill Clinton be my animal?
Become another person. Oh man.
If I can't be a mascot, yeah, I would be a shoe-built stork because they're the fucking coolest animal, and I will not let it go. I will not let it go. Coolest goddamn animal. Yeah. Animorphs. The NHL sucks, by the way. We'll see you later this week.